Welcome back to Birds of a Feather. This is your daily Baltimore sports podcast. My name is Nathan Stroud, and today we're going to be going over and talking about the Orioles and Phillies Game 1 of this 3-game series in Philadelphia against the Phillies. And unfortunately, like I've said a number of times this season already, the Orioles lose this game. They lost 13-3. It was an absolute demolishing by the Philadelphia Phillies. They really just put us in our place. The game was tied, actually, for most of the game. And whenever Cade Povich left the game, it was still tied. And then the bullpen proceeded to give up 9 runs once Cade Povich got taken out the game. Cade Povich started today. He did okay. Got through 5 2/3 innings. Gave up 4 total runs, but one of the runs that he gave up was because it was an inherited runner on base that ended up scoring, so obviously get counted to him. But 5.2 innings, 4 runs, had 7 strikeouts. He looked, fine. He looked good. But once the bullpen came in, the game just completely imploded and ended right there. The offense didn't really do much of anything. Early on in this game, they ended up scoring 3 runs, and they were actually in the lead early in the first few innings of this game. They were winning 3-1 thanks to a Tyler O'Neill 2-run homer and a Jordan Westburg solo home run. And those were the only runs that the Orioles ended up scoring today. They didn't get on base really at all throughout the game, and for most of the game, especially near the middle to the end, it was very quiet for the Orioles offense. All the stuff happened early on in the game within the first few innings. And then the Phillies ended up tying the game, and then they ended up winning 13-3. It was an absolute massacre near the last few innings of the game. And the Orioles lost this game. They're down 0-1, or they're down 0-1 in this series right now. And they have a chance to tie the series tomorrow and then potentially win the series on Wednesday. But let's just be real, guys. Do we really trust this Orioles bullpen and pitching especially to get the job done? I don't know. But all I know is that the Orioles have to win the next 2 games to end up winning the series over the Phillies. And it's going to be a tough task. The Phillies are one of the best teams in baseball this year, and they have been over the past few years. And one thing I'll say about Philly, man, is their crowd really shows up. It is a Monday night game, and there is so many people at the game. They're electric. There's so many people that show up to these games. Packed house. Kyle Schwarber hit a 2-run homer earlier in the game to tie it, and then he also hit a grand slam to really just blow the doors open off of this game. And during the grand slam, the whole crowd was chanting MVP, and once he hit that grand slam, the roof, there's not even a roof at Citizens Bank Park, but it just exploded. The crowd exploded. Just such a high-energy stadium. And so I'm going to shout out Philadelphia and shout out the Phillies for that because it was a very cool atmosphere. Even when you're on the road, it is still cool to hear fans in baseball be into the game and be interactive and just really be able to hear their voice a lot in the games. Whether you're on the road or at home, it was just a really cool sight to see. So I just kind of want to give a little shout out to them. But again, the Orioles lose this game, very disastrous game. We're going to be going over the game in a second, but I do want to say real quick regarding the Baltimore Ravens. We do have a little bit of Ravens news today. We're not really going to go over anything training camp wise because nothing in particular special happened. Lamar Jackson did not go to training camp today because he had an excused absence that the Ravens knew of, and it was a personal matter. That's what it was listed as. But there is speculation that it could potentially have something to do with his contract extension. There was a report today that came out by a very trusted source in Baltimore that the Ravens are determined to make Lamar Jackson the highest paid quarterback in the NFL prior to the season starting. And then at the same time, he was out today, so I don't know if it's just a coincidence, but sometimes when that happens, especially with Lamar Jackson, who is his own agent, he could have possibly been negotiating the contract today during practice with Eric DaCosta up in his office. So obviously getting Lamar Jackson on a 5-year deal or like a 4 or 5 year deal would be incredible to add on to the 3 year or 2 years that he already has left on his deal. So to add on to that would be incredible. Obviously getting Lamar Jackson on this team long term is the most important thing that we could possibly be doing. Obviously, there still is guys like Kyle Hamilton and Tyler Linderbaum who are going to be free agents next year that you need to extend now But again, football money is weird. Football money is weird. It's just a weird thing overall. And I just trust that Eric DeCosta is going to do the right thing because, I mean, we put our trust in Eric DeCosta this entire time. He hasn't disappointed us in terms of draft and signing people. So I'm just going to trust that he gets everything done with that. But let's just go over this Orioles game. And sorry about that little Ravens talk right there in the middle of, talking about baseball. But I did have to bring that up. Obviously, this is a Orioles and Ravens show. So, we have to talk about everything related to both sports. But going over this Orioles game, the Orioles lose 13-3 to the Philadelphia Phillies. A 10-run loss, an absolute blowout. And in the 6th inning and the 8th inning, that's when they really kind of blew the doors off of this game. The Phillies ended up scoring 8 of their 13 runs, all in the bottom of the 6th inning. It was a close game up until then. It was literally tied up until then. And then it just kind of, the game ended right there in that 6th inning once they took out Cade Povich. But going over the offense only put up 5 total hits in this game. Very poor showing from the offense today. 5 total hits, went 1 for 1 actually with runners in scoring position, but left 3 guys on base. Just very weak hits, not really any extra base hits at all, other than the 2 home runs that we had in the game that were all 3 of the runs that we scored. But the Orioles hit 2 home runs in this game. That was responsible for all of the runs that they scored. And then the Phillies, on the other hand, hit 6 home runs in this game. It was a crazy game for them. Shout out to them. They're a great team that we know. But Jackson Holliday was leading off. He went 0 for 4. He hasn't been playing necessarily great over the past week and a half, 2 weeks or so. So hopefully he can start getting back into a little bit of a groove and a little bit of a rhythm. Because again, he is the everyday leadoff hitter of this team. So hopefully he can start just getting on base a little bit more and being a little bit more reliable. Because recently he has not been amazing like we've seen him for a lot of this year. But again, we still do trust Jackson. He still is young. He still has a bright future. He's shown so much this season, but just hopefully over these next couple of months with the season left, actually the next 49 games, because that's how many games are actually left this season, hopefully he can get it going a little bit. But Jordan Westburg, on the other hand, someone who has been great since his return from IL over the past almost month now. Jordan Westburg, he's been great. Went 1 for 4 today with a solo home run. He scored the 3rd run in this game. He hit that homer in the 3rd inning. And then after that home run, the Orioles were actually winning 3-1 going into the bottom of the 3rd inning, where eventually Kyle Schwarber tied it, and then obviously the game ended from there as we moved throughout the game. But Jordan Westburg had a great game. Obviously hit the solo home run, shout out to him. Gunnar Henderson went 1 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Adley Rutschman went 1 for 3 with a run scored. Tyler O'Neill continues to stay hot and just hit home runs a lot like he's been doing recently. Went 1 for 3 with a 2-run homer. Again, not Jackson Holliday. Tyler O'Neill continues to just play good. His average still is low, but a majority of that is from everything that happened early on in the season, but he has been playing a lot better baseball here recently. Jeremiah Jackson went 0 for 4. Colton Cowser went 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. Kobe Mayo went 1 for 3. Nice to see him getting a hit. And then Dylan Carlson went 0 for 3. So, again, when you talk about the offense, other than that Jordan Westburg home run and the Tyler O'Neill home run, nothing happened in this game. The offense just did not really show up today. But at the same time, they lost this game by 10 runs, really because of what happened with the bullpen in the 6th inning. But again, it was tied. Who knows what would have happened the rest of the game if it was close. But, I guess we'll never know. But going over to the Orioles pitching, this was really the main part of the game, I guess, where everything just kind of collapsed. Cade Povich ended up getting the loss in this game, which is a little unfortunate. 2-6 on the season now in his starts. Got through 5.2 innings, gave up 4 hits, 1 walk, and 4 runs with 7 strikeouts, and he also gave up 2 home runs as well. A 90 pitch count across 5.2 innings. He did get worked a little bit. This was his first start in a month and a half, so he was just getting a little bit more comfortable again, but not necessarily the worst start in the entire world. He is going to be someone who I think is going to be regularly on this pitching staff, or the starting pitching staff, going throughout the rest of the season. And then I think depending on what happens this offseason and spring training and all that stuff, he'll potentially be on the pitching staff, or at least the starting pitching staff next season as well. But speaking of the pitching staff and starting pitchers, Grayson Rodriguez was confirmed today that he is going to be getting elbow surgery that is going to make him miss the rest of this season, which is unfortunate because he was actually supposed to be on this team heading into the year, but then he dealt with a spring training injury, and then he was recovering from that injury. He was looking good. He was within 2 weeks of coming back, and then he had re-aggravated the injury, and now he's going to be getting elbow surgery, and he's going to end his season. And but it's not necessarily considered to be super major elbow surgery. They did not say, from what I saw, that it was Tommy John, so there is a chance that he can come back next season. I just don't know when that timeline is for him. But the thing with Grayson Rodriguez, to be honest with you, is I don't even know if I can fully trust him as a starting pitcher for the future, because every single time I talked about the starting pitchers on this team, I always brought up Kyle Bradish and I always brought up Grayson Rodriguez as the two guys to really lead us into the future in terms of this pitching, or two guys that can be very reliable. But I don't even know if I can say that about Grayson Rodriguez now, because he has dealt with so many injuries in his few years being in the MLB. He's not even going to play He's not even going to throw a single pitch this year, which sucks because he was going into the year, he was supposed to be ready by opening day, and now he's not going to play at all. Got a lot of different opinions from different doctors, but eventually they decided to get elbow surgery. So hopefully he has a good recovery. Hopefully he can come back and be somewhat like he used to be. But again, when you get injured this much, especially early on, you might not ever look like what you used to in terms of pitching. And Grayson Rodriguez had such a bright, I don't want to say bright future because he still can be great, but in the times where he has pitched, he's looked great for the Orioles. And this just really sucks to see. But at the same time, it kind of was a little bit of inevitable. A lot of people thought that this was going to be what ends up happening, and it did. But it just sucks that it did get confirmed. But hopefully he'll be good to go next season sometime, and he'll be back. And hopefully he'll be better than ever. Corbin Martin in this game ended up coming in this game in the 6th inning after Cade Povich got taken out. And then Corbin Martin gave up 5 hits, 1 walk, and 6 runs in 0 innings of work. Didn't even get a single out before he got taken out of the game. A 26 pitch count across not even getting a single out. 5 hits, 1 walk, 6 runs, and a home run that included a grand slam to Kyle Schwarber. Absolutely ridiculous work from Caleb Martin. Actually, he didn't even give up the home run. It was, I'm pretty sure it was Geraldo that gave up the home run, but 3 of the 4 runners were already on base from Caleb Martin or Corbin Martin. So, again, just not a great showing by this bullpen at all. Corbin Martin gave up 6 runs, Geraldo gave up 1 run, and Rodriguez gave up 2 runs. So, just a horrible showing from this bullpen in general. Again, this bullpen has a lot of names that a lot of people might not even know. A lot of guys be getting called up from the minors, and just kind of a misfit group bullpen that is just not great at all after trading all your high leverage arms, and with your closer also potentially being out for the rest of the season. So again, just not a good game at all. The Orioles, we knew for the rest of the season that the Orioles offense was going to be something that might be fun to watch. Again, so far since the trade deadline, they just haven't really been great at all. The offense really hasn't done anything since the trade deadline. And also, we knew that the starting pitching was going to be kind of interesting to watch as well, with guys like Kyle Bradish coming back, and also just seeing guys like Cade Povich come back as well. And also just watching Trevor Rogers continue to do his thing. But we knew that the bullpen was by far the weakest part of this team, and it really showed tonight. A tie game heading into the 6th inning, and then the Phillies scored 8 runs in the 6th inning off of the bullpen. So, I mean, not even really surprising at the end of the day. A lot of things that happened to the Orioles this year aren't even really surprising. At least the stuff that's happened recently. So, again, very disappointing outcome for this Orioles game. Losing by 10 runs is a little embarrassing, but we've gone through this so many times this year. This is not even nearly some of the worst things that we've seen by the Orioles this year. And I see some Orioles fans on Twitter and stuff posting about the draft and getting a higher draft pick. And, at the end of the day, the Orioles are 100% going to be getting somewhat of a high draft pick this year. So I guess that's something to look forward to. But when this team had top 5, top 6 World Series odds, it's a little sour just to look at it that way. But at the end of the day, it's baseball, and it's just a wacky sport this is. But going over to Game 2 of this series, that is tomorrow at the same time, it is going to be Dean Kremer versus Taijuan Walker. Walker has been great this year for the Phillies. He's been solid. Dean Kremer has been one of the better Orioles pitchers this season, which is saying a lot because Dean Kremer has a 4.2 ERA and a 1.27 WHIP, and he probably is our second best pitcher this year behind Trevor Rogers. So we're gonna see Dean Kremer pitch tomorrow. Hopefully he can go out there and get through at least 6 or 7 innings. Hopefully he can be solid. We've seen some great Dean Kremer starts this year, but we've also seen some pretty bad Dean Kremer starts. So hopefully tomorrow the Orioles can tie the series up 1-1. And then on Wednesday, which is Game 3, we got Trevor Rogers on the mound. We put all our trust in Trevor Rogers. He's going to be playing another great NL team for the second game in a row. Obviously, his last time he played the Cubs, he was excellent in that game. He got credited the loss after an 8-inning complete game, only giving up 1 run. But then he's playing another great NL team in the Phillies on Wednesday. So on Wednesday, I'm really looking forward to seeing how Trevor Rogers does. And if he can play really well against the Phillies, then it's time that he starts getting the respect that he deserves. But we'll talk about that more tomorrow and on Wednesday. The Orioles, again, lose today by 10 runs. Very embarrassing, but they have a chance to tie the series up tomorrow. So hopefully they can get that done. Thank you guys so much for tuning into and listening to this episode of Birds of a Feather. If you like this content, make sure to subscribe on YouTube, like the video as well, and make sure to follow up on the Spotify. And also make sure to click the link in the bio of whatever platform you're listening on and follow the Instagram and follow the Twitter. On Twitter, I'm posting live updates, reactions to everything Orioles and Ravens related. Anytime there's an Orioles game on, I'm live tweeting it. Every time there's going to be a Ravens game on, I'm also live tweeting it. Speaking of Ravens games, there is the first preseason game on Thursday, which is going to be exciting. It's going to be the first game recap that I've done for a Ravens game on this podcast so far, so that's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure to tune in Thursday night for that, and then also make sure to follow the Instagram because I post updates on every single time an episode and podcast episode comes out. So make sure to give those a follow. Again, I appreciate you guys for all the support that you guys have given me. I'll have an episode up sometime tomorrow around the same time that this episode is, talking about Game 2 of the series. Hopefully the Orioles can tie it and move forward and potentially win the series on Wednesday with Trevor Rogers on the mound. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. Again, very disappointing game for the Orioles today. But you know what? You shrug and you say it happens because we've seen this so many times before with this team. But I'll see you guys in the next one. You have a great Orioles day. Have a great Orioles night. And I'll see you later. Peace out.